Guys, it's Kalia here today, and I want to take some time to talk to you about time management. I'm here at the park. It's so sunny and so nice out today. Hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. I'm actually on the way to drop my daughter off at her friend's house, so we figured we'd drop off at the park while I do this live video for you guys. Okay, so let's talk about time management. One thing that I want to tell you, I have a couple of tips for you. And the first one is that you want to wake up early. Most of the time I wake up about 5 or 6 a.m. And during that time in the morning, I'm normally focusing on things where I don't want any distraction. And normally it's things that I don't really like doing. But maybe I'm focusing on my email marketing, or I'm doing some administrative work, some paperwork. But during that time in the morning, there's no distraction. No one's calling you. No one's really texting you. So it's best to try to get up in the morning to get the things done that you don't want to do. So even if, let's say, you want to exercise, that's the time that you should be getting up to do those type of things. The next thing that I want to mention is that you want to try to time block. So time blocking is very important as an investor. And for those of you who don't know what time blocking is, that's basically where you block out time to accomplish things that you need to get done. So let's say, for instance, you got to go to the gym, or you're doing your prospecting. You want to block out on your calendar specific times that you're going to actually get those activities done. And so when you're doing your schedule, the first thing that you want to block out time for is, of course, your family. So let's say you have your family outing day on Sundays from, let's say, 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Well, block out your schedule for that, where you don't take any appointments, you don't do anything during that time. The second thing that you want to make time for in real estate is your income producing activities. And those are activities where you're actually looking at generating income for yourself. So income producing activities can be your prospecting, as far as making telephone calls, you're going on appointments, you're going on your closing. So those are pretty much, well, not even really closing, that's something separate, but more so activities where you're focusing on generating income. So primarily like your prospecting, making phone calls and appointments. Those are pretty much your income producing activities. And that's what you want to block out time for next. So if your goal is to actually, let's say, telemarket, and you're going to be making calls to people, look at the times that are best to make the calls, and then block out time in your schedule for that. So if you know you work during the daytime, then that means that you should be blocking out time. Let's say you got to get home, you got to take care of your kids, you got to cook dinner. So maybe you could block out time around 7:30, Monday through Thursday. Let's say you can only do an hour, so go ahead and do an hour between 7:30 and 8:30. But during that time, you're going to actually block out your schedule where you're not taking any phone calls, you're not answering any emails, you're not on Facebook, and you're in a closed room, and you're actually focusing on those activities that you said you want to accomplish during that time period. The next thing that you want to block out time for is your administrative work. So in real estate, once you start doing deals, you'll have a lot of paperwork that comes up. So you'll be doing paperwork for like, let's say, your contracts, talking to the settlement company. Maybe there's some back and forth, some addendums. Well, you need to block out time for that as well. And so what I normally suggest with the administrative work is, for instance, how I mentioned that morning time, you can get it done then. But just basically, let's say maybe even after 12 o'clock, because during that time, more than likely, you're not doing any prospecting, but paperwork, checking emails, you need to block out time for that so you're not wasting your time. Even Facebook, let's say you get on Facebook every day, well, block out time that you're going to get on Facebook, and after that time you don't get on there so that you don't waste your day away. And one way to really see if you're spending your time properly is start taking notes. So start looking at what you're doing each day and write down what time you're doing and what are you actually doing. So then you can assess whether you're really even spending your time wisely. Because sometimes when you actually write down what you're doing, you find that really you're wasting a lot of time away. Let's say you're watching TV, you're on Facebook, you're talking on the phone about nothing. So, you want to make sure that you're spending your time wisely as well. And one thing that I want to mention is that if you're a new real estate investor, everyone always asks, okay, where should I start? What should I do? Well, as a new investor, it's very important for you to take action. And with taking action, it's very important for you to focus on your income producing activities. And so what's that? Primarily looking for people, if your goal is to actually be on the front end, let's say you're wholesaling, you're looking to flip properties, or even if you're going to look to buy a property to rent out yourself, I mean, it's not to rent, but basically like become a landlord. If you're looking for a property to buy to rent, you want to focus on looking for deals. So you want to focus on actually talking to sellers and getting appointments with sellers. Those are the two primary things that you should focus on. Because honestly, you can have all the knowledge, all the information, but then at the end of the day, you find that you're not doing anything. And primarily it's because you're not spending time to actually talk to sellers and meet with sellers and evaluating opportunities. So those are the two primary tasks that you can do. One question that I always get asked is about networking, like with other real estate professionals and other investors. That's important as well. And maybe you can block out time for that. Let's say you go to the RIA meetings once a week or once a month. You can block out time for that. But you really don't want to get caught up, because remember, as an investor, you're not a real estate agent. So you really don't want to get caught up with sourcing opportunities for investors. You really want to kind of focus on your leads and your target market and what you're looking for. And of course, with the investors, you can keep their information and make sure, you find out what they're looking for. But you really don't want to kind of like get into a situation where you're talking to investors, you're new, you're excited, they're telling you what they want. And then all your time is really based upon finding deals for these investors. Because sometimes people will send you on a wild goose chase, or you'll find that most of the deals that you find are not really deals that they're interested in. And so that's why it's always best for you to look for your deals. And then when you find your deals, and you can let your investors know, or the investors you're working with, you can let them know what deals you come across. But you really want the first steps are really looking for your own deals. That's really what you want to focus on as a new investor. One thing that I want to say too, as far as education, is that you really want to have an idea of where you want to get started. And most of the time that's determined upon your income. So if you know that you don't have a lot of money to get started, let's say your credit's not good, one of the easiest ways to get started is either bird dogging or wholesaling. Bird dogging, or it's also called a property scout in Maryland. Bird dogging is actually, that term is illegal. But basically, bird dogging is somebody who looks for deals. So they don't actually meet with the seller, but they're just going out, they're looking for deals, and they pass those leads off, or the contact information off, to somebody who's a wholesaler or a rehabber or a landlord, in order to get paid like a referral fee. So that's what a bird dogger is. So you don't need any money to bird dog. Unless you're actually spending time doing marketing, then of course you would need some funds, but you're not getting the property under contract. You're not necessarily meeting with the sellers, doing any negotiations or anything like that. The next one is wholesaling. For those of you who are not familiar with wholesaling, wholesaling is basically when you're looking for deals, you're meeting with the sellers, you're negotiating with the sellers, and you're entering into a contract with the seller to buy their property. So you are the buyer on that contract, just like if you were a regular home buyer trying to buy your regular home. So you're entering into an agreement with the seller to buy their house, but instead of actually settling on the house, so you do need an earnest deposit, if that's what you and the seller agree to, and also you need a specific amount. That amount can range. It could be anywhere from $100 to $20,000. That amount varies. But you're meeting with sellers, you're getting it under contract. Then once you get it under contract, you're actually just reassigning your interest in that contract to another investor for a fee. So that's basically so on your contract, it actually says and or assigns, and you have language in there to actually reassign that contract. And so then you create another agreement with the person that you're reassigning it to actually transfer your rights in that contract to that other individual. Okay, so what I want to say is that basically I kind of got a little bit off topic, but I want to tell you that also, like for your education, you can spend time to, let's say you read one page of a book per day, or you set out 10 minutes per day. Well, block time for your education. But one thing is that you don't want to get into analysis paralysis. So you don't want to be in a situation where you're spending all your time doing research, but at the end of the day, you're not taking any action. So action in real estate is very crucial. It's very important to find deals, meet with sellers, negotiate contracts, but taking the action and not being afraid and just getting out there and seeing what happens. So that's my last tip really, is to take more action. So does anybody that's watching right now, does anybody have any questions just about what we discussed today? Hi, Princess. Hi, Lee. How are you guys? It's nice to see you on today. Hi. You see, I'm in the woods here at the park with the kids. They're on the swings. I don't know if you guys can see. But do you have any questions just about what I just talked about as far as blocking out time? Okay, yeah, and definitely. So one thing is, I should mention too that a tool that I use for myself is I use Google Calendar, but use what's good for you. So with Google Calendar, you can even block out your calendar, set up your schedule, set reminders, set alarms. So use something. Google Calendar is free. But use something so that you can try to keep track of your schedule. So if you don't have a schedule, you're not writing down what you need to do, then basically that's where you're going to find yourself spending a lot of time and then wondering at the end of the week, well, where did all my time go? I didn't do anything. So keeping track of your schedule is very important. Okay, guys, so it looks like that's it for today. If you have any questions, and then also too, for those of you who are not taking a challenge, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and leave a link below, because if you're interested in actually becoming a wholesaler, as I mentioned, one of the first things is actually looking for motivated sellers. And so right now, some guys are actually in the challenge where they're looking for sellers. They're getting sellers from their local courthouse. So if you'd like to try to join in on the challenge, that's actually like one of the first things that you want to do when you're getting started as a new investor. I'll go ahead and I'll just drop the link below and you guys can check it out. Okay, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.